and welcome back to an episode of Hiking for the Total Beginner. I have been tramping for a very long time. My name is Shoshana. I'm a single mum. I've got 2 little kids. I started getting back into hiking when I had my firstborn because it saved my mental health and my sanity. And now here I am, and I'm going to show you what the best hiking gear is, how to get started, all the ins and outs. The first episode was all about tramping packs. I'm going to do a little bit more about tramping packs today, including how to pack your pack, and I'll give you a quick rundown of everything that I put into my backpack while I show you how to pack it, but I will go into a lot more depth on different parts of gear after this. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment and follow if you want to see more of my content. Let's get into it. Because I go tramping with 2 kids on my own, and even if we go tramping with other people, I still have to carry everything myself because the other people have their own gear to worry about, and they usually have kids as well. So this is my 75 litre Tatonka, and I will show you how I pack it. So inside this backpack there is a pocket. Now inside the pocket is where the water bladder goes. Now you have 2 choices, like water. You can either take bottles or a system like this. I take both because sometimes these might leak or whatever. There's pros and cons to them because, for instance, this is really convenient when you can just drink from it as you go. The downside is it's really tricky to get outside of your pack because you've obviously got to like fiddle around and it comes through the top. Water, the Camelback thing, really good when hiking with a baby on the front pack who I don't want to breastfeed the entire walk, which I usually do just to get where we're going. This is good because she likes to chew on it. The downside is they chew on the nozzles and they go through them real quick. So you'll need to get lots of replacement nozzles, which is inconvenient. I've still got toilet paper left over from the last time. Good survival balm. I love it because it is just good for literally every ailment. Always keep a couple of lighters in my pack. Here we go. Start with the water bladder, which is inside the pack, and it just sits inside the pocket right in here. It's got a pocket here and it sits in there so it doesn't sink down to the very bottom of the pack. It's also got a little Velcro thing that you can kind of hold the Camelback on, if I can show you that, so that it doesn't slip down the bottom of the pack because you kind of want it where you want it. The pack distribution is really important. This is a big yellow plastic bag. You could use this. Some people don't like using a pack liner. I do because it rains a lot here in New Zealand, and one of the most important things is to keep the gear really dry. These I think about $5 or $8 from Macpac. But it's particularly delicate. I will pack into a dry bag. This one is from Macpac. The dry bags you can get like this one from Kmart. The difference is, obviously these are different sizes. The Macpac ones are more see-through, they're much more lightweight. These ones are heavier, they feel heavier duty, but when I've used them for a lot, the one from Kmart, it started wearing out quite quickly, but I still used it for putting my dirty cloth nappies in when we go hiking. Some people will literally just use Ziploc bags or plastic bags to hold their stuff in. I use a mixture of everything. It just really depends on what the gear is and how like detrimental it is if it gets wet. You're thinking, you know, if you're out in the bush and you fall in a river and everything gets absolutely soaked, you know, which is why we use these. When you're crossing a river and it's like a really hectic river, which you probably won't be doing if you're a total beginner, but if you're crossing a river and it's like up to your chest, trampers will take all their gear out, they'll put them in like a yellow bag like this, and then they'll float it across and like that. But then that means all your gear is in the pack and you're relying on this to keep everything dry, so therefore putting extra special things like electronic stuff in a dry bag is good. Right, let's get into it. So I always use this as the pack liner. It also doubles as an emergency blanket. If you get stuck out in the bush and you're stranded, you need to stay the night, you can take this out, put your sleeping bag in it, and you can sleep inside it as emergency shelter. I also carry an emergency blanket as well. First thing I put in is sleeping bag. Just trying to decide what sleeping bag to use today. So you can put your sleeping bag into its own pack. Some people like to pack their sleeping bags into a dry bag, which keeps the sleeping bag extra dry. It doesn't save a lot of space. If you're trying to fit everything in, it's a lot easier to use a pack liner and squash as much as possible into all the cracks and crevices. So I always start out with the sleeping bag at the very bottom, and I'll just stuff that down there. And then I've got my big kid sleeping bag. This is a Morrison outdoor sleeping bag. I am affiliated with these guys, so I've got a discount code with them. I'll put the discount code somewhere here. If you want to buy one, use my code. I get a kickback from it, which is great. These go from 6 months up to 6 years, and they're awesome. They're rated down to -6, so they're really warm sleeping bags. They don't have a hood, so if it is really cold, you'll need to put a hat on. They've got these things that you can fold over the cuffs, which are great. Alright, here we go. Sleeping bags in the very bottom. And then next we've got all of the clothes. I need to find my rain pants actually. I don't know. I'm not sure where my rain pants have gone actually. I thought they were in my pocket of here, but I can't find them. Yeah. Those definitely aren't my rain pants. They won't fit me. And those aren't my rain pants either. They will not fit me either. I keep a tramping container of all my tramping food and snacks and things, because most of the time we go tramping it's spontaneous, and it is so much easier just to grab stuff and go, because sometimes you just don't know what the week's going to hold, or if I'm going to have a lot of work, or if we're sick or whatever. So I'm going to come in here and find some food. Got a cooked breakfast, maybe some noodles, some crackers. I'll add some cheese in, some packets of soup. You're not having noodles for breakfast. Tuna and noodles makes a really good tramping snack with some dehydrated peas. I recently got given some of this porridge, which is gluten-free, so could have that for breakfast. Yeah, so I've got a few things to eat. This pile of clothing, and it somehow is going to fit into the pack. I've got my water filter here, which can just go on the outside there. I got my gas cooker. Now when I'm just going with me and my 2 children, often I'll just take a thermos with hot soup or lunch for the day and my cooker, because I can use this as a plate. I can eat out of the pot. It saves space when we can all share the same bowl or plate. And then this one here can be for hot drinks. It kind of depends on the tramping situation as to what we take. Some people will find it easier just to take bowls and spoons and cups for everybody. Sometimes I'll just take cups and they can double as bowls for everybody as well. And then we put all the extra clothing in. Chuck everything else in. Hats. We don't need sun hats, it's winter, but hats, spare socks, things like that I will put in a dry bag, because it's easier to find hats and gloves and spare socks in a dry bag. You can also use socks as gloves if you need to. Alright, so all the spare clothes you can pack around stuff. Please note this is just a demonstration. I'm a lot less organised in real life. So you shove everything down and you grab the extra layers and you put them way down. Oh, it's like a workout, my goodness. So I squash all the layers way down, and that is how you get everything in for everybody. Sun hats go on the outside somewhere. There we go. Next step, what have we got next? Toilet paper in a plastic bag, blister tape, lollies, electrolytes, lighter, spork. I keep sporks and spoons on the very top because I'm forever losing them. And I'll probably put those all into a small dry bag. So important to have snacks that you can access while you're walking, especially with kids. So, and a spare band-aid. That in the dry bag on the very top, like so. What am I missing? Something else. What am I missing? First aid kit. Where's my PLB gone? Where is my PLB? I don't know where my PLB is right now, but we will find it. This is my first aid kit. We've got emergency blanket, a couple of pads, emergency period or to stop bleeding, stormproof, like waterproof matches, Panadol, paracetamol, some more vitamin C, chamomilla 30C and arnica 30C, 2 more packets of matches. I think I'm going to redo my first aid kit because it's been a while, and some pencils. Alright, clearly I need to redo my first aid kit because it's been a while, but yeah. Thermos goes on the top, first aid kit goes on the top pocket here. And that is kind of how you pack the pack. Just like that. And then pop it on, go like that. When you're putting the tramping pack on, you want to make sure it sits on top of your hips and that most of the weight is carried on your hips. And that is how it's going to not feel like quite so bad. Like, I think my pack at the moment weighs, doesn't actually feel like it's that heavy. Must be about 15, 16, 17, maybe around 17 kgs. But because this backpack is so comfortable, it doesn't actually feel like I'm carrying that much weight because it's distributed really well. Most important thing is that the heaviest, bulkiest items are at the bottom. The things that you need urgently are at the very top. The water is on the side pocket. I cannot reach the side pocket very easily. I think on some of the smaller backpacks you can, this one I can't. The one thing I'm missing on the Tatonka is like, I feel like it needs pockets here to put like water bottle, phone and stuff. But of course, when you're carrying the Trail Magic carrier and you've got the Trail Magic clipped onto the front, it's a lot harder to have like balance packs on the front. That's where I think those arm packs are particularly good because they have the front packs, but you can't as easily carry a baby on the front because of those like balance. There you have it. That is how you pack your tramping pack, and that is everything that I would take for a multiple day hike or an overnight hike with my 2 children on my own. My big kid has got a backpack somewhere. Let me go find that. Now, kids' backpacks. So this is my child's first backpack. It's a Camelback. I can't remember the exact name of it. It's been very well used. This is the perfect size for a little kid. It's got the pocket in the front here, which is just enough room for some of the essentials. You can even chuck an extra layer in for them. It's got another pocket here, which is like, it's got some depth in it. So I could put a couple of muesli bars in here, and then it's got the Camelback feature, which I love for the kids because it encourages them to drink more when they're tramping, and this is not recommended, but I will sometimes put electrolytes or juice into their Camelback because if it's a really hot day, that will encourage him to drink more, and they need the sugar, they need the electrolytes when they are, you know, hiking. And he's been using this since he was 2 or 3 years old on hikes. I also found it's kind of like fine when they're using a little backpack. I'll put the essentials that I might need in it, for instance like extra snacks for me or water, and then it's easier for me to access this than trying to get my pack on and off. This is the Camelback Scout. I had to get this from America, I think on Amazon. It is not as easily accessible, but I have seen some backpacks at the likes of Macpac, which look like they're pretty similar. This one has got a chest strap. It doesn't have a waist strap. My big kid is 6 years old. He doesn't have a bigger backpack than this, although you can get backpacks from Macpac. You can get a bigger backpack, which I don't have. My friend has one of those for her kid. They are quite big, and I probably wouldn't use them for a child under the age of 7. Depends on the kind of hike that we're doing. If it's a really difficult hike, I will often end up carrying the backpack for him just to give him a bit of a boost. If it's an easy hike, then I would encourage him to wear his backpack as much as possible so he can get used to it. This Camelback Scout has got a little front pocket, which you can keep stuff in. It's got lots of room in here. Basically enough space for most of their essentials. I'll put some snacks in it, water. It's also got a Camelback feature, so I can put the water bladder in it, which I'll usually do. It's just, this was currently packed to take into town the other day. I'm like, I don't know, type B, type C, type D kind of mum. Everything is just whatever all over the place. So yeah, anyways, this, I think it must be about 10 litres. 10 or 15 litres maybe. I'm not sure exactly. I know that this one here is my like little day pack. Yes? What's that?
You're right, this is the old one.
That is the old one, yes. This is my like little day pack. I would take this for short day walks, I think it's like 20 litres. Perfect size for short day walks, not enough if we're going for a walk that's more than like 2 or 3 hours. This one here it must be about 15 litres, I think. He's 6, he weighs 22 kgs. I wouldn't expect him to carry more than 5 kgs, I believe. A child should not carry more than I can't remember if it was 10 or 20% of their body weight. So he wouldn't carry more than 5 kgs on a walk because I think that's about his capabilities. So yeah, anyways, this is a good little backpack.
I want to go back to the very old one.
I don't know where the very old one is. Can you just give me 1 minute? I found it quite useful when I'm hiking with the kids to put things that I need to access in their backpack, because then I can get into it easier than my backpack, and sometimes I end up carrying it anyways. I don't mind carrying it if it's on a harder hike, and often I'll use it as a little bit of bribery. I'll say, well, if you walk really fast for the next kilometre, I will carry your backpack for you, but if I catch up to you and I tag you, then you have to carry your backpack. And that's sometimes enough incentive to get them zooming down the track. Also, a lot of the times recently when we go hiking with other kids, I don't actually see my 6-year-old the whole time because he's zoomed off ahead with the other kids down the track. I mean, we always know where they are, they're always safe, but I'm always at the very back with the toddler. So the toddler carries this backpack now. She loves carrying a backpack herself. She's barely 2, she doesn't actually walk very far at all. She just likes to toddle along. I will sometimes, if the track's really steep, I'll get her to walk up the steep bit, and then I'll hold her hand and swing her up the track, and it's easier than trying to carry her up the real heavy track. This one here has actually lost a strap. So anyways, that is, I think, everything that we have to carry. We have lots of other things to cover in the next following episodes. Clothing, we've got a lot to talk about clothing. I can't wait to share more about that with you guys. Footwear, shoes, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, if this is helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment. All that stuff is really helpful. Thank you so much for watching.